Welcome in. Happy Props Wednesday. I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes or so using data to sift through hundreds, if not thousands, of props so that we can take the best ones over to PrizePicks, over to the prop site of our choice, and take advantage of them. That's really what this is all about. I have promised, if you follow me on Twitter, two golf props that are minus 155 or better, a boatload of college basketball props that are minus 150 or better, an NBA points, rebounds, and assist line that's 2 points off, and not prop site related, 6 arbitrage plays that we can take advantage of. So let's jump right into this thing. This is RunGoodProps.com. This is a pet project that turned into a website, something that was built for myself, and then we made it available, and it's really, really cool. And it's a dashboard that updates constantly throughout the day and compares the lines at eight different now prop sites to 7 different sports books to find the best lines available. So the way to read this, the higher the probability, the better. We dejuice the numbers. We adjust if the lines are a little bit off. The probabilities are the best. Let's go through a couple of these real quick. The golf props. Let's go to those first. This tournament's going to start Thursday morning. Obviously, it's Valspar. There is one push line, Jordan Spieth, where the line at PrizePicks is 70. Caesars has under 70.5 at minus 190. So you are introducing a little bit of push equity when he hits 70 on the number, on the nose. But other than that, that's the side that you want to be on the under. The two exact lines that are interesting are Matt Fitzpatrick's under 70.5, Tommy Fleetwood's under 70.5. Caesars has both of these, minus 175, minus 155. If you took these two props alone over to PrizePicks and you put $100 on it, you'd expect to return $103 every time you did this. A 3% positive expected value. Generally speaking, in all forms of betting, in all forms of these prop parlay entries, you have a big time negative EV. Right? Like that's the gig. So anytime that you can flip this and get yourself positive expected value, you're certainly on the right side of things. Justin Rose under 70 and 71 is minus 150, but that's also a push line. So the way to treat the push lines, I like to do them in larger entries. So if I had 3 other props that I liked, and then I would throw in this push line for Jordan Spieth, because if he pushes, it turns my 4-leg entry into a 3-leg entry, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So those are the golf lines for today. Looking at the big board, and let's just go straight on exact lines. These are lines that match up perfectly on PrizePicks and then to any of these 7 sports books. We don't have to do any of the push stuff. We don't have to do the favorable stuff yet. So the 2 biggest and best ones are those 2 golf lines I pointed out, Fitzpatrick and Fleetwood. Then here come the boatload of college basketball props. Jamal Sheed, Houston, under 5.5 assists is minus 156 at FanDuel. Jalen Williams, over 4.5 rebounds for Auburn is minus 156 at FanDuel. Tucker Richardson, Colgate, under 6.5 rebounds, minus 156 at FanDuel. So if you had those 3, and then you added the 2 golf props in, Fitzpatrick and Fleetwood, and put this into a 5-leg power play on PrizePicks, you're not going to win it very often. Or excuse me, I guess it's a 5-leg. It's not technically a power play, right? But it's a 5-pick flex play. You're not going to win very often. 30% of the time, you're going to profit. 30% of the time. But when you profit, you're getting paid out more than you should. So the positive EV of this is $25 for every 100 that you wager. So you'd expect to return $125 for every 100 that you wager if you did this 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 1,000,000 times, over and over and over and over and over again. Not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's take your positive EVs as often as possible. So that's a pretty decent 5-leg entry. What you could also do is, for example, swap out a Tucker Richardson and add in that Jordan Spieth one and introduce yourself into a little bit of a push opportunity on a whole number and give yourself a crack at that. It'll turn your 5-leg entry into a 4-leg entry if Jordan Spieth does push. The rest of them cannot push. They are exact lines. A couple of other props that are already over minus 150. Marcus Smart, under 3.5 rebounds. Micah Parrish, San Diego State, over 3.5 rebounds. Harrison Barnes, over 1.5 3-pointers. So those are the exact lines that are over -150. That's probably your bread and butter. And also note that, listen, it's 11 a.m. on the East Coast on a Wednesday. This is going to update. More props are going to come through. More things are going to become available. That's why checking this frequently is a pretty good place to be. The favorable lines. So these are actually lines that, believe it or not, are in our favor. So the way that this works is the line at PrizePicks is actually too good, essentially. And when we compare that to the sportsbook number, we can use a theorem, we can use a calculation to adjust the probability accordingly and get to it that way. So, for example, this is the one that I was pointing out on Twitter. Jason Tatum's points, rebounds, and assists line for tonight. PrizePicks has it at 43.5. PointsBet has over 45.5 at -115. So you are getting 2 points, rebounds, and assists in your favor. PointsBet says over 45.5. PrizePicks says it only has to be 43.5. So if that landed on 44, for example, or 45, you would win on PrizePicks. You would lose on PointsBet. So that's the idea of the favorable lines. You can see there's a ton of college basketball ones for Thursday. Obviously, it's March Madness, so these are going on all day. But Timmy Allen, under 12.5 points. Max Rice, under 13.5 points. Jalen Garden, under 16.5 points. So on and so forth. There's like 7 points props there that are a point off. So you have a bit of a favorable line there. And then the push lines, this is where you're going to see a lot of the larger numbers because you are introducing the push risk here. A lot of them are shots on goal. Mason McTavish over 2 shots on goal on PrizePicks. It's over 1.5 on Pinnacle at -198. So this is where you get a lot of NHL shots on goal. You get a couple of college basketball assists. Sometimes you get 3-pointers in here. And I would really only be adding these in the larger entries. Okay. So that's the way this works. So if you're playing on PrizePicks already, if you're playing on any of these prop sites, the only way to do it is this way. Right? It's the only way to do it. Otherwise, you are just flipping coins and EV is not in your favor. If you are selective, if you only put in entries that are of positive EV and you do it frequently, you're going to put yourself in a really good position to actually profit off of this. If you don't care about profiting, put in whatever you want. But if you want to attack it with math and strategy, this is literally the only way to do it. Sportsbook stuff. So let's transition from prop sites to just straight up prop bets. So we have a tab here on RunGoodProps called Value Bets. This is essentially looking across the industry and finding where the outliers are. So for example, Jordan Spieth's 70.5 strokes line in round 1 at PointsBet, that's even money. At Caesars, it's +150. Justin Thomas over 70.5. PointsBet is +110. Caesars is +165. So if you have the ability to shop, if you have the ability to go out and find the best lines available to you, this is a really good tool to be able to do it and find what that outlier bet is. Noah Dobson, shots on goal, under 2.5, basically across the industry. I almost spilled my coffee. Basically across the industry is -105. Maybe if you get lucky, you can get a +108. However, Pinnacle is hanging a +127 right now. They are the outlier in this situation. So you can use this tab here to find those outliers and find those value bets. And then the Magic, we're already down. Okay, so when I tweeted this out 15 minutes ago, there were 6 arbitrage opportunities. 6. Now there are 3. That's how this works, right? They come and they go pretty quickly. That's why subscribing to RunGoodProps.com, having the dashboard available to you is valuable. An arbitrage bet, where you bet opposite sides of something at 2 different places to ensure yourself I don't want to say a profit because that's not technically correct. You ensure that you're not going to lose. So let's do this Noah Dobson one again. A lot of times what you see is when you have an outlier on the value bets, you could potentially get an arbitrage opportunity. So Noah Dobson shots on goal, 2.5. Over -125 at BetMGM. Under +127 at Pinnacle. Let's say you bet both sides of this. You bet 125 to win 100 at BetMGM. You bet 100 to win 127 at Pinnacle. So if this goes over, you would win 100 at BetMGM and you would lose 100 at Pinnacle. You would break even. If it goes under, you would lose your 125 at BetMGM, but you'd win 127 at Pinnacle. So you are either breaking even or making $2. But Rick, $2, that's nothing. Okay, sure. But if you take your $2, your $5, your $6, 3 times a day, 6 times a day with no risk and no chance of losing for a year, pretty good, right? And those 2 golf bets as well show up as arbitrage opportunities, which with a little bit better payouts. Jordan Spieth and Tommy Fleetwood 70.5. So we'll do Spieth first. Plus 150 on the over at Caesars, minus 140 on the under at PointsBet. So again, same thing. If this goes under, you would win your 100 at PointsBet, lose your 100 at Caesars, you'd break even. If it goes over, you'd win your 150 at Caesars, you'd lose your 140 at PointsBet. That's $10. So that's 10 on 100. And then Tommy Fleetwood is plus 122 on the over at Caesars, minus 115 at PointsBet on the under. So if that goes over, you get your 122, but you lose your 115. So that is $7 of profit. If it goes under, you'd break even. So that is between those 2 golf ones alone, $17 on 200, literally risk-free, right? You're either going to break even or you're going to get $10 or you're going to get $17, depending on if both of them win in your favor or both don't. If you take all 3 of these, it's $300 to guarantee yourself an upside of $19 with a risk of 0 because you can't lose them, assuming you can get these lines at these places at these numbers. That's how these arbitrage opportunities work. So there you go. 13 minutes, quick data-driven props breakdown where you don't need to know anything about the players. You don't need to know anything about the teams. You don't need to know anything about anything because the sports books and everybody else has done all the work for you. And you can use RunGoodProps.com to find those spots and invest in them. And you might not become rich, but you will be on the correct side of things for as long as possible. Okay. Much more golf content coming this week. The March Madness optimal bracket has been out on YouTube. Just lots of great stuff coming. Thanks for all the support. I'll talk to you guys soon.